like that.
Yo, we are live. We are live. I love that idea.
There it is.
We just were saying. What's going on,
Um,
man?
Not much, man. There's this is like my least favorite week of the year for football. We're not gonna be negative about it. We're gonna enjoy it.
Every week is good when you only have a few left.
What's that?
Every week is good, or every week is good when you only have got 2 regular season weeks left.
It's crazy. It's
It's
ridiculous.
tough to see, man. Wait for the chat to build up a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's not a ton of huge matchups, but at the same time, it's football, man. How
There's a
about
bunch of
Vandy
stuff.
last week?
Yeah. That
We
was
can
awesome.
catch up on that.
That's we should probably talk about that anyway because we got that's like the only decently big game in the SEC is featuring one of those teams is Kentucky.
Yeah,
yeah,
is
I
that
think
even a big game? I mean,
so remember
they
in the
just lost to
preseason, like
Vandy,
this was
so.
like one of those games that they talked about, like I had Doring. He's like walked it back now, but like and it's in the summer, so it's like you gotta have like stuff to talk about. But like, hold on, is my mic all messed up now? Of course, no.
No.
Anyway, no. So I think like this was like a really big game.
Oh, your mic does sound like it's screwing up a little bit.
Damn it! This thing's like the most like fickle little pickle. Oh, there it is.
I'm getting some.
Is that better?
I'm getting some feedback that I do not sound good from a text.
Yeah, you sound super echoey.
Oh, I bet I know why.
Super echoey.
Yep, I got it.
Anyway, yeah, so we have Kentucky and Georgia, which is like there were a lot of people, like not a lot of people maybe, but that was like a trendy preseason upset pick, which is like ridiculous in general.
Check.
But now when you think about it, that sounds better.
Right.
Getting new uniforms at work with a Ben Diesel name tag. Love that. Love that for you. Yeah, what do you guys like? What's y'all's biggest see, like the last week of the year is always so weird too, because it's like the biggest weekend for like it's rivalry week, but it's also Thanksgiving, and so there's like, I'm excited for next week though in terms of like the Egg Bowl. There's still an outside chance I go there. You sound like we're on a toilet. Who does?
Yeah, my mic was coming from my webcam.
Oh,
so I had to change the audio source.
All
right, should we get started?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of College Football Uncensored, brought to you by Saturday Down South and Texas Pete. I'm your host, Tyler Huck. Hopefully my audio sounds great. With me as always, my traveling co-host, Chris Marler.
Yeah.
I'm eating Texas Pete popcorn, by the way.
It's so good. Like I know that like probably like most of our listeners think that we just say that to say it. That I went through both those bags in one day.
This, if you're watching the YouTube, Texas Pete cheddar hot popcorn is so good.
Yeah. What up, Twitch fam?
Ben Diesel, if you're in the chat still, am I still echoing or what? Yeah, man, this is kind of the week before the week, right? It kind of has that vibe a little bit.
Well, you guys
no real surprises, I thought, in the college football rankings. Did you?
Okay, so let's start by talking about this, because this is like there's not much to talk about, and most of it doesn't matter anyway. And I think it'll play itself out. Like, did UNC do something to the committee?
I don't get it. They've only got one loss. Who was that lost to? I can't remember who it is.
So somebody told me the other day it was Notre Dame. I thought it was App State. No, it was Notre Dame at home by 13.
Yeah, it is.
Notre Dame is ranked again, by the way.
They are, and they've got a guy who, if let's just say they had beat Notre Dame and they were undefeated, I think he'd be the front runner for the Heisman right now.
Like, I'm not saying he should be the front runner over CJ Stroud. But like, he's not going to win. He's just no. There's no chance in hell, no matter what his odds are right now, that enough people vote for him because no one's talking about
If
it,
he
really.
comes out and like Clemson's no great shake, so compared to their typical team, but they are going to be by the end of the season. You'd got to think. I mean, they'll stay in the top 10. So
Yeah.
if UNC beats them in the ACC championship game and he slings the ball all over the place, maybe he starts to get some final recognition. But the dude is a beast, and yeah, I'm with you. I think it's just because the Coastal is so bad. You know, Miami has been significantly worse than we thought they would be. Pitt has been worse than everyone thought they would be. So I just think that it's a product of being on a bad side of a pretty bad conference all around. But yeah. I mean, one loss.
But they're also, and this is the weird part is what they're penalizing TCU for, which is like, I mean, TCU, if you look, like they have, I think they're tied for the most wins against ranked opponents. I mean, the resume's there. The resume's flat out there. And they were saying last week, there's like, those games are so highly competitive. I was like, okay. So you look at like UNC, you have a 2-point win against App State, right? 63-61. You have a 7-point win against Georgia State, which they play on the road for some reason. I still don't get that. You lose to Notre Dame, and you like whoop Virginia Tech, but then you have a 3-point win at Miami, 3-point win at Duke, 3-point win at Virginia, and a 2-point win at Wake. Now all those games are on the road, but I mean, I guess like for me, it's like they're having a great season despite their defense, and this kid's been awesome. He's been awesome to watch, and they just are like it's just weird how when you look at where some of these teams are like put like, and I mean like firmly placed in, like USC is at 7, and I have every bit of confidence like in like my mind that they will do what they can to push them into the playoff if they win out, especially over Tennessee, which I think is stupid as shit. I just don't get it. We have one comment from Carter Logan said, "Tell me more about when Lane wrote on the whiteboard." If you missed this the other day, I think this is in reference to a thread in the group, which was, I mean, just an accurate take from somebody that just
how many times you've told that story about Lane
probably
Kiffin?
Yeah. But somebody referenced the other day and said, you tell that story about when Lane did that with Bama. That was the beginning of the end for Saban, and we all saw it coming, but Bama fans didn't. Which I didn't. I mean, that I feel stupid because I didn't know everyone else knew for so long. And then he said, the moment that happens, the moment the dynasty started to die, because he picked players over process. And I just sat there reading this over and over again, thinking about how many games they had played for national championships since then. But yeah, there's like
Doesn't
some
seem
big
to really
news.
Match up on the timeline there.
No, it's like, honestly, that was the, but it's just, listen, it's an accurate assessment, not rooted in bias at all. Yeah, that stuff with Virginia was pretty sad. That was awful.
Yeah, that's one of the more, that was really just a sad thing to see, man.
Yeah. It was a former player.
I wasn't shocked that they canceled the game. Not even trying to be funny here, but I did have Virginia's season win total under that was guaranteed to hit, but now that will be canceled because they didn't play enough games. But it's not about me, Chris. Anyways, moving on.
Rankings.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wasn't too shocked by any of these rankings here. I mean, in the top 10, like pretty much outside the top 10, you could argue different spots. But I mean, I'm kind of surprised Utah's that high.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Yeah, I kind of just wrote them off after they lost to Florida, but I guess they've run the table a bit. I mean, USC, if you line them up against Bama, do I think USC would win? Probably not. But
What?
they're ranked above Bama, but at the same time, they have only one more loss.
I'm fine with that. They have one loss. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It was really weird to me to see David Pollock. Like, he gets less likable for me, like by the minute, mainly because of how thin his ankles are. But
I think he's just trying to compensate for the fact that he was they skipped over him to replace Lee Corso and brought in Pat McAfee mid-season.
Well, here's the thing.
As if to say, Pollock, there's no chance that you'll be able to replace Corso on an entertainment factor. So
Right.
you are relegated.
So
he's
here's
just
the
like, I'll just be
sad part
weird.
about that decision is that some people are like, I think 1 out of every 8 children that are born in this country are born without a personality, and that is what seemed to have happened here. I think like it was just funny because I never thought that like since I've been doing this job, everyone always talks about how Gary Danielson like loves Bama or so and so is a homer for their team, like Herb Street for Ohio State. I never really thought most of that was true. But it is weird, like, sometimes when you think about, you'll just see, like, the actual, like, objective, like facts, like, presented to you. It's like, "Hey, rank these teams," and it'll be like, Herb Street had Ohio State at 1, Joey Galley had Ohio State at 1, David Pollock had Georgia at 1, and, like, those are the really 2 only choices for the number 1 team in the country, so it's probably not that big of a deal. But yesterday when they did the rankings, like I don't think Bama at 8 is egregious. I don't think it really matters. Like they're not gonna win anything at all. So I don't know them sitting in that spot's not like taking away a spot from anyone. I
Right.
just don't know who behind them was should be ranked ahead of them. But
Something I'm kind of excited about personally is Florida State still holds the record for consecutive years in the top 4, and I don't think Bama has quite eclipsed that,
fuck.
and I don't think they're going to get it this year. So
It was the
streak's gonna
top
stand.
5, wasn't it? Like 13 straight years.
I think it's 15 straight years in the top 4 or 13 straight years in the top 4, 14, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll have to go look up
there.
the stat, but I don't think Bama's going to get it this year.
I didn't think about that. Wow. Lane should have never wrote on that whiteboard.
Now, yeah, exactly. Now you still can't compare the programs because Alabama's capitalized more on as far as championships are concerned.
Yeah.
But also, you have to be in the top 2 in the past to make the championship game.
True.
So a little harder, I think, at that point. But
okay, so here's my question about like the rest of the rankings, because again, it's like a very boring night, but like it does get the feeling that any sort of assumption that like the playoff committee is like not up to no good, but like doing like kind of like in looking out for their best interest, which their best interest is putting blue bloods into the playoff from as many different like parts of the country and conferences as possible. Like again, TCU, so they roll out the rankings and they're like Michigan's at 3, and like we're all being duped by Michigan. They're not a good football team, and like I'm not saying that they don't like they haven't had close games or whatever. Like, do you think Michigan's the 3rd best team in the country? Michigan's a 5.5 point underdog hypothetically to Georgia right now out of Vegas.
yeah, I mean, we saw that game last year.
Yeah, we did. So, but it cracks me up because it's like it's a great school academically, but I feel like flat out that it's almost like a little SEC bias about them. That's like, man, they're hard nosed and they win and they're undefeated. It's like they again have not left home. They play their last 2 games at home. They run the football well against Big Ten teams, but their strength of schedule is 82nd in the country, and them and the USC are both ranked 115th and 118th out of 131 teams in terms of opponent winning percentage.
Wow.
Like that is really bad. So like if you like honestly, like they talk about the Tennessee thing, you're worried about do they have enough to get in? Because they're not going to win their conference. It's like, well, I don't know, those 5 ranked teams they beat in seeming like a month and a half probably is, pretty good on the resume. Then you compare it to USC and Michigan's like, I don't understand.
Have we seen a hypothetical line if it was Tennessee, Michigan?
Yeah.
Michigan's
favored.
Michigan's favored. Wow.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be the case at all.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so this is where I kind of start to see where expanding the playoff is actually going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Not just because we get more games, but like I think of a game like next week, and I'll just take this personally, but like Florida State, Florida, like that's going to be a game with 2 teams that are starting to play really well towards the end of the year.
Right.
They're in state, so it's a battle. And if you're Florida State, like if you win that game in a 12-team playoff scenario, you actually may have a chance to jump into the playoff with a big win. Like that makes that game huge.
Oh, you're talking about like in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's already big, but like think about it if it was for at a chance to go to the playoff. Like it's just I think it's gonna make a lot more games matter. I think I kind of had always thought about it is it makes the regular season not matter as much, but I think some of these games might end up being bigger in the future.
Well, I think all the games that matter will be the ones that matter for the teams that haven't been able to get in. Like most of the argument about these games aren't going to matter. It's like it's coming from like the elitist 1% of college football. It's like, oh, so this game wouldn't have mattered. But Bama lost Tennessee. Like, well, I mean, it definitely mattered. It absolutely mattered. I think that I mean, you're right. I think that I think more parity would be fun, and the going to like the road games, like and playing on campus first week of December, I think would be awesome. But here's the main thing I had to take away from last night. When Boo Corrigan, and I don't know how the fuck we got somebody named Boo in charge of anything besides a Medea movie, and he is.
No, I think Boo might be like from the Crucible.
Yeah, I don't like that haircut. Nobody that's that age should have that haircut.
He's like from 1912.
That dude looks like every kid that ever
Corrigan
grew up.
The milkman, Boo Corrigan, came down here.
He was like, it always cracks me up too, because whoever they've had in the past, it seems like they just have like cared more, or like got it more, or like when they would have to do their interview with Reese Davis, Reese would like hold their feet to the fire, so they would have all these notes and shit, and they were like spouting off as many things as possible, like to defend their reasoning. But he was talking about it last night, and they were like, why is TCU at 4? They go, TCU, we were very impressed with the win against Texas. It was, they're improving. They're improving. And it's like, they have done this all season. They've done it to everybody. Like, but in his eyes, I guess they didn't give a lot of points. And they asked about USC, like, why is USC at 7 behind LSU? And he said, you look at the schedule, and they've won all their games at 1. They've won all their games at 1. And the one they lost is on the road at Utah, 2-point conversion. And let's not forget how emotional that game was, because that's where the running back died, and they put him on the helmet. And so I'm just sitting here, and he's like, and plus they average like 500 yards per game. I was like, Boo, can you fucking just step down, dude?
Look, just go and look at the schedule for TCU versus Michigan.
It's a joke.
Okay, from October 1st, and this is when they played them, their rankings. They went home against number 18 Oklahoma and beat them 55-24. At number 19 Kansas, won that game.
Right.
Versus number 8 Oklahoma State, won that game. Versus number 17 Kansas State, they went on the road, beat West Virginia, beat Texas Tech, and then went on the road and beat at Texas number 18. You can't. I mean, that's not even comparable.
So here's what cracks me up too. This is like to just show you how I think there is like an innate bias that we've built in. Like, again, I get it. Everyone thought that Bama was a lot better this year because of the name on the jersey and the numbers on the helmet or whatever. Like that's what we're doing. Like we're like thinking we're seeing from Michigan, but all we're seeing is a 1-game season in the Big Ten. And nothing else matters up to that point. They actually said this on fucking live television the other night. They said, man, that UConn win's getting more and more. Looks better every week. The UConn win for Michigan looks better every week. And like, meanwhile, TCU is like, we just took down another fucking top 25 opponent on the road. We were an underdog again. We've made you fucking millions of dollars, Vegas. And all we can talk about is, I mean, Blake Corum's put up a ton of rushing yards, bro. Cool. Yeah, like, you know what? Like, I would just love to see Blake Corum. If in this day and age of football, if you think you're going to compete with Georgia, and we've already seen it, like you said, a year ago, God, it's gonna be bad. Anyway, there's some comments in the comment section we should probably address too, the LSU thing.
Oh yeah, so Ben Diesel in the chat brought up a scenario. The scenario is if LSU beats UGA in the SEC championship game, who would then be in to the college football playoff in total? Obviously Ohio State would be the 1 seed at that point, assuming they beat Michigan.
Right.
The 2 seed would I think you'd have to go LSU unless TCU was undefeated.
Right.
All right, so let's go
Like,
Ohio
if
State.
TCU
TCU
loses
the
the
2
game, they're
seed.
out.
LSU would be the 3 seed. And then do you say, hey, I guess it depends on the game against LSU, but let's say LSU barely wins by 1. Do you drop down Georgia to 4
Yeah.
and Tennessee gets
Tennessee's
left out because they lost to UGA?
Right.
So it's
Also,
kind of like UGA could probably lose that game and it won't matter unless they got destroyed by LSU somehow. Which
it's crazy
seems
how that could
unlikely.
possibly happen. I've never seen a scenario like that actually unfold where UGA could lose the SEC championship game and it wouldn't matter. No, but I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think anybody's touching UGA, and I don't think that LSU is good enough to do it. I would love just honestly at one point in the fourth quarter, Georgia will start to pull away in this game, and they'll be up by 14 plus points. And I think we should stop right then and just let Jalen Carter and Harold Perkins just Indian leg wrestle for like the right to, I don't know, like the Sugar Bowl or something.
Being like the biggest badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting scenario. I think Georgia gets in either way.
I do too.
Unless LSU gets, the unlikely scenario that LSU blows out UGA, which, again, unlikely.
Yeah. But I do think it's the SEC is not going to get 3 teams in. There's a real possibility that there's 2 from the SEC and 2 from the Big Ten. I don't know if that's going to happen. Like, and I don't know why we would fall for that ever again. I know 2006 was a long time ago, but hold on. Here's the other thing. You already brought up the schedule, but like, again, it is a foregone conclusion that if TCU loses, they're out. They're just out.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done nothing but win every fucking game that's been in front of them.
And they got another tough game. I mean, I know Baylor's not ranked, but they're on the road at Baylor this week. Like, that's a good win if you go, and they're favored too, but that's a good win.
Did you see Baylor last week?
I did not. No.
Oh, we got to get you caught up on a couple of things that I missed because I was in Auburn, and I feel like this is like a time travel thing that if like somebody would be like, "Hey, did you see the games this weekend?" You're like, "No, did everything just happen the way it should happen, like always?" No, not at all. Oklahoma State lost by like 1,000, like the week before, and then Baylor did the same thing last week. They lost 31-3 against Kansas State.
Jesus, Kansas State just beating the shit out of people.
Yeah.
like they're the ones that beat Oklahoma State that bad.
I mean, we should start wearing more purple. This is like a crystals thing, like we're like our chakras all fucked up. We should have like, I don't know.
No,
Anyway.
only roll with Texas Pete.
All
right, let's break down Austin P and Bama.
No, let's talk about the Auburn coaching situation first and foremost.
Okay. All right. So is it Kiffin? What inside knowledge do you have?
So the inside knowledge that I have is the same knowledge we had from last year. It's all been like very, very accurate, and like the source that I have is like it's a good dude that he like last year he was spot on about every single thing that happened with Harsin in the offseason, and he was spot on about all of it before it happened, like before it was announced. And the only thing he was wrong about was them getting fired. That was it. And so there's been like a couple of things. Right. What's that?
So, well, eventually he was right.
Yeah. He's still sitting apparently in Auburn. Like Harsin's just in Auburn right now. Can you imagine like waking up every day and like, fuck, I gotta go to Publix. Like, and you already know he's like wearing a sleeveless shirt and like this fucking RoboCop Oakleys. Like he just looks ridiculous. Anyway, so this has been like an interesting topic this week, mainly because I'm a newborn Auburn fan after my trip to the Plains. I like Auburn is all fan bases are like this. I'll preface. I don't think that there's a team in like a fan base in the country that doesn't understand. Like, there's not a bigger divide in where people think a program is more than Auburn fans think their program is, and outside fans think Auburn's program is. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who to believe.
So who's going to be the coach then?
I mean, Kiffin is the main guy they're going after, and then after him, Deion's is not an option at all.
Yeah. That's not the next step.
No, and then what sucks too is it's like there's this like really cool moment happening with Carnell Williams, and and you could tell it matters a lot to him, and like it's not easy getting like those kids like to get up for a game. And I know it's just, Texas A&M and all that kind of stuff, but like, what are your thoughts on the fact that like Kiffin is, from everything I've heard, is this is what's going on. Kiffin is going to finish out the year, and he's going to let Jimmy Sexton handle all of this, so he does not going to be involved with it, so it doesn't look bad on him and all that kind of stuff. But they have already gone to Ole Miss to meet with him or meet with Sexton and discuss what's going on. The biggest reason why is the NIL money that they just put in place at Auburn with this new like collective they put in place, because ever since like everything happened in January, now you have like a lot of more positive momentum with Auburn in terms of you got an AD and they're going to be in charge of making the hire, and they just unveiled like these like new state of the art football facilities and shit like that, and like so there's like some positive momentum for the program. I don't get it. Like the NIL thing is great. Like he will have more opportunities like for that kind of stuff at Auburn versus Ole Miss. I just don't think Kiffin is a fit at Auburn versus Ole Miss. Like, think about some of the coaches that have been at Auburn, and then think about Lane Kiffin.
A lot of times when you're hiring a new coach after firing another one, you try to go the opposite way of what you had before. Like if you had a defensive guy, you may go offensive. If you have a guy who's kind of a hard ass, maybe you go more fun loving, more of a hard ass. That now you go with Kiffin, who's like, fun loving, prankster, but a great offensive mind. I think that we brought it up on the show. I think if you want to win a championship, it's not going to happen at Ole Miss. I really don't. I really don't think it's going to happen at Ole Miss. I don't think they're ever going to get the players over even. I mean, maybe Auburn, right? But Auburn can be elevated to I think a better tier than they're at now. And I don't know. I just think that if Kiffin's serious about winning a championship, I don't know if Auburn's the school, but I think you have a better chance there than Ole Miss.
I guess so, yeah. And he has really been openly complaining about a lot of the stuff that's gone on. Like they don't have the deepest of pockets at Ole Miss. Like they do, but they spend it on dumb shit.
So then my question is, because everyone's talking about Kiffin to Auburn, let's say that that's not on the table and they go to option number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing rumors now that Auburn would never hire Hugh Freeze.
That's not true.
Okay. So is he the second option then?
Yeah.
Is he the second one on the board?
He's the second one on the board. Deion is not a valid option. And Jeff Grimes is there, but he's also not. Like they want a splashy hire. They want like a splashy hire that's like going, like you think about the last several times they've done this. You got Chizik from Iowa State, and I brought this up 1,000 times, like the whiteboard comment. He's 5-19 at Iowa State. He wins an extra title, but like he's not a splashy, fun hire. Then you get Gus Malzahn because he was, he could chew gum like hard as fuck, and so they were like, we gotta have that guy. And then they got Brian Harsin, which is like everyone they've hired it's been like you've got to talk yourself into like that's a good hire, dude. It's like a terrible draft pick or something like that. Like, no, I love that, dude. The Falcons got would you say it was a defensive back from Appalachian State in the first round? There was like other ones from Power 5 competition the whole time, and they took the kid from Group of 5 school. I love that.
So if they hire Kiffin, could you see Deion to Ole Miss? Would that work? Is that a good first step for him? No,
I don't think that. I don't like. There's not really a reason for him to. Here's the thing people don't get. Like, there's more money and there's all these opportunities and all that kind of stuff, but like Deion's having a really good time in you know what? Fuck it. I'll just say exactly what I'm thinking. Okay, Deion's having a really good time in Jackson because he can do whatever he wants. Probably why I'm still here at this job. There's probably some other opportunities, but like I like being able to lay on the couch and be able to do my job from my phone. Like I don't think he's at a place right now where he necessarily has to or wants to push himself because his son is the quarterback. He's like having a blast. He's accomplishing so many things even at that school. Auburn and him, they would not blend well at all or mesh well at all because if he is like, I mean, you got the whole fucking entourage. Don't call me Coach Prime. Like,
yeah.
it'd be weird back and forth. But I will tell you that
imagine like that, his entourage versus like the Auburn boosters. If things started going sour.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Rain, just dressed in a fucking yellow cowboy outfit like it's Halloween. No, I agree. And the other thing is too is like if they get Kiffin, I don't think that I think there is a backup plan in place if they don't. They are going to be so hurt if they don't get him. And this is what I wanted to ask you, like what your thoughts were on the situation with Carnell Williams, because it's a really cool story. And when you hired him, he was a running backs coach, right? He doesn't have any head coaching experience. And I thought it was a really good hire because like then you could let him and all the other like coaches that are still on staff, that especially a bunch of them that played there and care about the university and care about the program, care about being an Auburn man, they can hold down the fort while you go recruit a new coach. And then they can also handle recruiting and do it at a higher level than you had with the old guy who was the head coach like before. So it's a win-win until expectations start getting met. And things like last Saturday happened where you had a 3-6 team have a fan base completely bought in and so happy about this, this moment. So now what do you do with Carnell? Like, do you give him you have to give him an interview, right?
What I don't know his prior experience of this, but it's like
He was
the most he's ever done has been a running backs coach at Auburn.
I think so. I mean,
I get it, but that's not it. I feel like if you're the AD, this is your first hire you're making and it's a big one.
Right.
You can't take that big of a Carnell could end up being like a great head coach, but I mean, you went out and you lost to Mississippi State, who's like not very good right now. And then you barely beat a terrible Texas A&M team who just lost they're like 6th game in a row.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, maybe if they go out there and beat Bama, maybe it's different. But I don't know. Seems too risky to try.
They're putting him in this position now where it's like you got some people immediately calling it like just how unfair it is to him because now he's just waiting to get picked over, and I think he probably knew that going into it. Like I don't think he's but it's like if they go undefeated, they could lose this weekend and this whole thing will be done. Like
right.
And they'll still be appreciative of him. But yeah, it's just a weird situation because it's like he's holding down the fort and doing more than you guys had been doing with the old guy. Not by much. That offense is still bad, but anyway.
Should we jump into this week's slate?
Good, dude.
Well, let's just go by like day games. Noon game. You got Florida at Vanderbilt. I mean, we just mentioned Vandy. Yeah, electric, right? It's a 14-point spread. Total 57.5. Vandy 4-6, which I think their Vegas over under was 2, wasn't it?
2.5, yeah.
Double that bitch up. Let's go.
Have you looked at any of our preseason bets and prop bets, by the way?
Yeah, we did.
We killed it.
You got Florida, who is coming off a beatdown of South Carolina. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And also putting up a bunch of points on Texas A&M. Florida's interesting. Like I've seen a bunch of their players have hit the transfer portal this week. I don't think there were any like huge playmakers or guys who they were wanting to be there in the future, but it's almost like Napier went through and did exit interviews like a week early and was like, if you don't want to be on this team anymore, you ain't ready to put the work in.
I wouldn't take the final either, man. You're not going to pass the class.
Yeah.
Just fucking leave, dude.
Right. So, but Florida, I don't know if it's South Carolina's just not good and Texas A&M is not good and they're missing half their players and maybe Florida looks better or they're actually getting better. Vandy obviously coming off the big win, first SEC win in a couple years, right?
Yeah, I got to be petty for a second, just for a second.
Okay.
You remember when Clark Lee, the human penis, stood up at media days and spoke for 22.5 minutes, said literally more words than anyone else. And then when somebody asked him, I forgot the guy's name, this guy from Arkansas Democrat Gazette, was like, you open up this season in the SEC with Bama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. Those teams were combined 35-5 last year. Is that daunting to you? And he's like, it's not daunting to us. It's not. We expect to win those games. We expect to win those games. And when we do win those games, you won't see us celebrating. Fast forward to last week. I'm not making fun of the man for getting emotional, but it's just a different that whole mentality about we're not going to celebrate those wins. He was crying after they beat Kentucky. So
yeah, not exactly the same.
He's went through trauma.
Look, I don't. We'll see where Florida's at here. Like, are they continuing to improve? I mean, Florida, their offense is a very legitimately very good offense. I think they have the number one explosive play rate in the league. The only chance that Vandy has to cover this is they actually can run the ball decently. They average almost 5 yards a play and a rushing play, and Florida allows about the same, which is not good. So you could get Florida on the ground. Florida's won 42-0 last year in Gainesville, with probably a worse team. So I don't know. I think Florida covers this game. I think they put up somewhere in the 40 point range, and I
think that Vanderbilt is a better team than we give them credit for. Their offense, there's playmakers there. Like there's like 2 or 3 total on the team. One of them's name is Orgy, which I love. Here's what Florida has looked like against like good competition. You lost to Kentucky, you lost to Tennessee, you lost to LSU, and you lost to Georgia. I don't know where to go with this. I think that it makes sense that we think they're going to roll over them, but I don't necessarily think that happens. If they do cover, I think they cover late.
Okay, it's fair. It's fair, man.
I wouldn't bet on this shit.
What other noon games look appealing? Anything? UMass at Texas A&M.
They're a 33.5 point favorite, which means Vegas thinks that they're going to be able to score 33 points.
It's almost a principal bet.
Against them,
UMass is one of the worst
line
teams in all of the FBS, but it's almost like you have to bet UMass plus the 33.5.
You're gonna show up on Sunday with like fucking just like shades on from the gas station with the thing still dangling, like the receipt still dangling, being like, fucking took UMass money line, dude. I'm out. I'm done with this podcast.
Where they at? No.
Those are like $3 sunglasses, Tyler. You're not celebrating correctly at all. Also, there's a bunch of trophy games this week.
There is. I didn't know that this is a big trophy game week.
What is your let's do it this way. What is your favorite trophy? Or do you want to do this at the end?
I don't know that I like the Paul Bunyan.
You're a fucking idiot. I hate everything. I will quit this fucking podcast right now. Avoid Belichick. Yeah. You like the Paul Bunyan?
Yeah, the Paul Bunyan's axe or whatever.
I never thought I'd have to say this, Tyler, but which one? Because there's multiple fucking trophies based around a fictional character that ate pancakes.
Who doesn't love pancakes?
I do love some pancakes. I'm so hungry. There's several games that are going on this weekend. I think there's a couple tonight even.
Western Kentucky, Auburn a 5.5 point favorite.
Auburn's gonna lose. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're still battling for a bowl. You know, you take this one, you take Alabama.
It would be it would be the most Auburn thing ever if the Bama game was played in Auburn, they beat Bama. Anyway, yeah, Auburn is playing Western Kentucky, and it sounds like surface level, that's not a big deal. And then you saw the line was 5.5. And then I think it was Chris Gordy brought this up. He was like, you lost at Indiana, you lost versus Troy and UTSA, and you also lost to North Texas. But they've won every other game, and it's not really been close. Like, they put up a lot of points. They have one of the better scoring offenses in the country. I don't know who the fucking coach is at Western Kentucky. I hope it's actually whoever the mascot is. And I hope that the head coach is just built like fucking Doug's from that Barstool thing in a giant red onesie outfit and just in his bag all day long against Auburn.
Doug's is a legend.
Anyway, I genuinely think they're going to lose this game.
Oh man. Well, then you won't see a lot of people going for Carnell for coach if that's the case.
They'll still say publicly that they do. That's okay, coach.
We're family. We don't turn on our own. All right. What about the thriller in Williams-Brice Stadium?
That's a good game.
Tennessee,
it won't be, but
number
it's like-
5. South Carolina, 21.5-point home underdog. Total 66.
Poor South Carolina.
South Carolina, they just can't. I don't know, man.
Their schedule is impossible.
They're just never going to be able to compete in that realm.
And they did for 3 years. And it made no sense. Because really, if you think about it, all they had to compete with at that time was Mizzou and Georgia, because Florida was bad, and so was Tennessee.
Right.
But those 3 years, they've ruined that fan base expectations forever. This is gonna be without a doubt. I think like if I had a lock of the week, this would be it, and it would be I would bet it every single fucking way possible. Tennessee to score first, Tennessee to win the first quarter, Tennessee to win the first half. It's 6.5 for the first quarter and 13 for the first half. Again, you got to win. Did you see any of the end of that Tennessee Mizzou game?
Oh, when they put up points at the end just to cover the spread?
Joe Milton threw a 250-yard pass with a fucking Nerf bow and arrow, and then like they were calling timeouts. Like style points matter, and I think also you could get this kid a Heisman, or at least into New York, which is big for a program. But what do I always say to you about like the first half numbers? Like who's the best first half team in the SEC and maybe the country? Tennessee. Who's the worst? Kentucky and South Carolina.
Yep. If you're South Carolina, how do you score 6 points against Florida?
It wasn't on offense either. It was their punter. Their punter threw a fucking touchdown.
That is, I don't see how South Carolina. I get that it's in Williams-Brice at night. I mean, it's a tough environment, but come on.
What?
I mean, this is Florida destroyed South Carolina. I don't see how this is a close game. I'm taking Tennessee to cover the 21.5 easily.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think and again, buy it every fucking way possible. Because they are just so bad at the start of games.
Okay, I like that. I'm gonna take that advice, and I'm coming for you if it don't work. Number 14, Ole Miss at Arkansas. Ole Miss a 2.5-point road favorite. Total 64. It's a night game in Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium, Fayetteville, Arkansas.
It's Frank Reynolds, right? No, it's from Always Sunny.
Donald.
His name is Donald W.
Donald W.
That's a strong fucking country millionaire name right there.
That it is.
What up, D-Dubs?
What do you see that happened in this game? Ole Miss clearly frustrated after the defeat last week. Think Kiffin thought he had that one in the bag, maybe.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did. I think other people, even that right for our site, did, and all over the country they did as well. But here's the thing, Tyler: when you allow the other team to score on 4 of their last 5 possessions, and you don't score at all, you deserve to lose the game, no matter how egregious one face mask penalty would ever be. Jackson Dart out for this game because his head was severed off during live action in the football game against Bama last week. So,
by God.
I'm assuming you didn't see the video.
No, I did.
Okay. Yeah, so this is like last week.
It did look like it hurt a lot.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's like I don't like when you get your feet, like what people don't understand is when you reach out for something and you grab anything, right? Like if you're coming full speed off the edge, you grab onto whatever you touch first, and if it somehow ends up being a face mask, like it's like you get your fat fingers out of there. It looks real bad. It looks real bad. No, so this game last week,
it's like fouling somebody, you know?
What?
Rip this guy's head. Like if you're gonna foul somebody in basketball, just get your money's worth. If you're gonna face
Dallas Turner would have been great in the fucking 80s and 90s NBA. Like that's like if he doesn't pan out in football, that's all he's gonna be. No, so the line that stunk worse than anything else last week was LSU Arkansas.
It played out exactly like they said it would.
Right. And now you come back another week later and it's 2.5, which is like, I don't know why that would be, but that's like it screams stay away from it. I'm not. I'm gonna dive headfirst into it. I think Arkansas wins outright. I think Arkansas wins
Really?
outright and Lane leaves. Yeah.
Wow. Well, if he really is involved with Auburn this week, you got to wonder where the focus is of the head coach. Jefferson,
Look at this shit.
is he playing in this game?
No, I
RJ?
don't think he is.
Okay.
And also, kudos to Ben Diesel for spelling Vontez Burfict right. I know for a fact I would not be able to do that. So,
Vontez.
yeah. So, like, and Hornsby looked pretty good last week instead of the other backup at times. Like, the defense got 6 sacks on LSU. I don't think it's even anything. It's like a bad. It's like a testament to Ole Miss not being good or anything like that. Like a matchup issue. I think that Ole Miss is just like under Kiffin. They've reached like their peak level of performance and focus as of right now. They'll probably circle back around for like the Egg Bowl because it matters. But after last week, I don't see how you go up to Arkansas and care.
Right. I could see that. If Jefferson plays, I think Arkansas will win outright. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Saturday, 3:30, Kroger Field, historic Kroger Field, Lexington, Kentucky. Number 1, Georgia at Kentucky. Kentucky, a 22.5-point home dog. I get it. Kentucky's come a long way.
In what?
Yeah, I just don't see how they score many points here. So
Kirby has averaged beating them 29-9 over the last 6 years.
This one just simply boils down to I don't think that Will Levis is good at all. How he was ever a first-round pick. I mean, projected first-round pick. Like, if the Falcons had the first-round pick and they took Will Levis, I would officially change who I was rooting for at that point. And I've been through a lot as a Falcons fan.
I don't feel like I would be upset about it, which is weird.
That is weird. Georgia is very good on offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think Georgia puts up over probably 35 points, and I don't see how Kentucky scores. Like, what's their team total? 13?
It can't. It's probably higher just because it's Kentucky, but it shouldn't be. Let me see here. They're fuck yes. First half spread and first quarter is beautiful. Oh yeah, actually their team total is 13.5. You nailed it. Good job.
35-10. Beat down. Georgia.
It should be way worse.
It might be.
There's some people that are under the impression that Kirby has been thinking about this one all off season because of Mark Stoops calling timeout on the goal line last year to cover the spread.
I don't think he's been thinking about this one all off season.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't.
It's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
You said how are they going to score 35 points?
No, how are they going to score? How are they going to score like any points? I'm talking about Kentucky.
Yeah. I think the exact words you used were like, if Georgia scores 35, like how are they going to score 35? Well, that's a good question, Tyler, because they haven't scored 35 points total in the last 4 years combined against Georgia. So
that's not a good stat for them.
There are a couple comments in the comment section here. Like Georgia does sometimes go up to Lexington and kind of get in their own way. They did actually 2 years ago. That 14-3 game was super weird. They don't like Will Levis also played like weirdly and awkwardly enough one of his best games ever against Georgia last year, which makes no sense.
And yeah, they had to call a timeout to cover the spread still.
Yeah. I think this is a nightmare situation for them. And if you thought it was bad, like him turning the ball over at other places, have fun with Georgia's defense, dude.
Arguably, the two best games of the day are outside the SEC. They're actually both in the Pac-12.
They definitely
are. First one is 8:00 Fox, number 7 USC at number 16 UCLA in the Rose Bowl. USC is a 2.5-point favorite. Total 76. That's gonna be a fun game if that gets near that total.
Dude, it's sold out.
I haven't seen the Rose Bowl sold out for a game like that
Since the
these
national
teams have played
championship?
in? Yeah, like since like other teams play in the Rose Bowl.
Well, so it is they still have like the tarp over part of the it's like sold out with
Right.
the Jacksonville
Sold out for
Jaguars.
them. Like, hey, that's cute.
70,000?
That's a lot of fucking people, man. This is gonna be both teams are gonna score in the 30s.
Yeah.
This is gonna be, I think, a great game. I'll take UCLA because I just think I'll take the points because I think these teams are evenly matched. I mean, they both have really, really good offenses. Both really, really bad defenses. So I guess if you're taking quarterbacks, you got to take Caleb Williams over DTR. But
He looked good last week.
yeah, I'm going to take the points with UCLA and 35-34 USC. I think they somehow escape and stay in the conversation, but it's a classic game.
It's so weird that UCLA lost to Arizona last week because I don't know how you do that because Arizona, for those of you that don't know, is like been like on par with
because they were prepping
Vandy.
for this game too much.
Probably. I mean, I think UCLA wins outright because I just don't think that there's like USC is a good team in terms of they have a really good quarterback, they have a really good offensive mind at head coach, and they sometimes have a receiver, and they just have been very fortunate with a lot of turnovers. Like, so I think DTR is a fantastic quarterback, and I think this, like, for me is like I've said this about Lane Kiffin before, is he's like a big enough asshole as to why that like to win this game because of that reason alone. And Chip Kelly is a big enough asshole to like go ruin Lincoln Riley's first year at USC with just like a 14-point win at home where they embarrassed them throughout the first half or something like that. It's like not close.
I love it. I think that'd be great. It'd be good chaos. I hope that happens. I hope you're right.
No, there's some really good games.
And then the other night game, 10:30 at Pac-12 is Utah at Oregon, which is another fantastic game on ESPN. Oregon 2.5-point home favorite over Utah. Is Bo Nix hurt?
Emotionally, yeah, for sure.
Well, he's been hurt for a while in that regard. Yes.
I didn't know that how they lost that game last week because I had to go pee. I went to go pee. It was 34-27, and they were winning with 2 minutes left. And then I could not like wrap my head around what could have happened. I just assumed Bo Nix did something stupid, but I didn't realize it was Dan Lanning that went for it on 4th and 1 on his own 35 in a tie game.
Yeah, it's the analytics guy, you know.
Danalytics.
Danalytics.
The Dan Lanalytics. I just want to imagine a world where he's like out in Oregon and like somebody like in like a fucking turtleneck sees him out like at like dinner or something. It's like, tough game. Like, you fucking go for it there every time. All right, Charles, you do it every fucking time.
Look, last year Utah beat the shit out of Oregon twice.
Yeah.
When Oregon was supposed to be the better team both games. It's hard for me to shake that feeling when I look at these two teams and realize that Utah dominated them, just out-physicaled them last year.
Mm-hmm.
Two different teams. Oregon has a totally different staff, but I just think that this is going to be a close game. Obviously, the spread dictates that. I don't know if Oregon could get off the mat here after coming off this loss where they essentially write themselves out of any chance at the playoff.
That's a very valid point.
It's a night game, so I like that better. You know, they'll be locked in. If it was a noon game, well, I guess noon game, that'd be like 9 a.m. there, but you know what I mean? If it was a morning game for them, I think it'd be much tougher. So I'll take Utah in an outright upset here. I think it'll be another shootout, 35-31 Utah.
Whenever you get a pack of Mormons and pimple-faced Ivan Drago in the same arena at the same time, Bo Nix, I don't know if he's hurt or whatever. I know Cam Rising is good regardless of that. Utah's just kind of been like laying in the weeds, man, and just not really having to do much. They had a week off after that win against USC, and since then they've only played Washington State. It was a close game, and then Stanford and Arizona. So like those are probably the two worst teams maybe in the Pac-12. I I feel like Bo Nix has turned the corner. I don't want to say that. I feel like it's like a Bloody Mary situation. I should not like I'm just believing
You don't
like a
say
toxic
that, dude.
ex
You
to
don't
come
say
back
that.
again. No, he's changed. He's really changed. He gets it now. But I mean, like they've been a different team, especially at home. And I don't think Utah is that team. I don't think they are. I think if this was at Utah, I would take it. But Oregon at 2.5 points seems like a little bit of a steal there because it would have been a lot higher if they didn't lose a week ago.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Utah or Oregon. I just think this spot for them is going to be a little tough. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Any other final games that you thought were intriguing?
Yeah, there's a couple. And we got to talk about these trophies too, because like in the comments, what's y'all's favorite trophies game? Besides the participation one that your team plays for every year, little cucks.
Oh,
I don't mean that. No, so there's a couple like SMU Tulane will be a fun game to watch tomorrow. I'm not gonna watch much of Bama Austin P. The TCU Baylor thing, like you brought up, it would suck if like this is what Dave Aranda was sent here to do.
Yeah,
it's like ruined. I think we should all just be fans of TCU at this point.
Absolutely.
Illinois,
is that
Michigan
UAB LSU game kind of sneaky?
Which one?
UAB LSU.
No, what?
I don't know. UAB is like one of those teams that always fields a pretty strong team for a G5, and I don't know. So it's in a spot where essentially everyone's like, yeah, LSU, man, like they've got a chance to go to the playoff here if they could beat Georgia. Like they're just probably not even thinking about this game. I don't know. Just for a cover, not an outright win.
UAB's 5-5. They've lost 3 of the last 4. They lost
maybe they got some injuries. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
14.5's not that big of a spread for playing a G5.
That's actually true, especially at home. That's true.
Yeah.
Illinois, Michigan, whatever the under is, just bet it right away.
Yeah, like wasn't Illinois good like 2 weeks ago?
They still are good. They're not ranked anymore though, which is weird. I don't. What happened to that?
And they're also 18-point underdogs.
Well, okay, but that's because Michigan, dude. Have you seen Blake Corum?
That's sick. You're right. Forgot.
I think that I don't think that Brett Bielema is going to outcoach Jim Harbaugh, which is a sentence I never thought I would say. But I also like that defense is still ranked like near the top in the country, like in like a ton of metrics. So like in the main important one, rush defense. Illinois is 6th in the country. Michigan's actually 1st overall in rush defense this year. So like I think that it's going to be a very boring game. It's going to be this is like the kind of game where it's like you'll see everyone's breath like in between plays, and then they will talk about that ad nauseum and tell you how fucking tough they are.
Oh yeah, this is a classic November Big Ten game.
By the way, can we talk about Jimbo's sleeve situation last week?
I don't believe I saw it.
So, like Moose Muhammad.
Oh yes, the sleeves. Yes. I did see that. I thought you meant like Jimbo wearing like some sort of weird sleeves.
Yeah, he did a week before that. He was wearing that fucking Cracker Barrel sweatshirt, and then he had the audacity to make fun of somebody else's fashion choices.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there, man. There's just something way off with Texas A&M right now. I think Jimbo's honestly trying to get fired.
I've heard rumors that he's like they're negotiating like his contract like buyout coming down, so it's fair for both sides. And there's rumors that he might go to West Virginia to ride off into the sunset there. But like, I mean, like does
his ego let him do that?
Oh, he'll burn that entire state to the ground like the Hatfields and the McCoys, and then just move one state over. He is a fucking plague, man. And last week at one point, Wegman had 13 straight incompletions.
I did read that.
God. Okay. Anyway, so
He's supposed to be like the answer too at QB.
Yeah, he looked good like a couple weeks before that.
Unreal.
Anyway, there's a series of trophy games this weekend.
Okay.
And I need you to take this seriously. And I want to know from the comments, like I said, too. And also pull up the Facebook group because we need to answer some of those questions I threw out there on Sunday, whether you like it or not. What is your favorite trophy? You said it was Paul Bunyan's axe.
I just said that because I don't really know many trophy games, Chris.
That's a good point. That's fair. That's a very honest thing to say. You know that the boot in the LSU Arkansas game, this is fascinating, is 4 feet tall and weighs 175 pounds.
175. Good Lord.
Yeah. Can you imagine winning after a 3-hour football game and being like, go pick up that trophy, boys? Like, no. No.
You go
Fuck that
pick it
trophy,
up.
man. Okay. There's one tonight that is. By the other thing too about the Paul Bunyan thing, I just don't get it because I don't think that Paul Bunyan's like this big enough figure to where we would be playing for something that he's not a real person.
He's a big figure, man. What do you mean by that?
He's tall.
Yeah, he's big.
Just like you imagine sitting down if you're Michigan and Michigan State, like you know what, this game matters, dude. We should play for like a trophy. Like, okay, like just a cup, maybe we put it into like a base. Maybe it's gold or something. No. Who's that big old sumbitch that dresses like a lesbian, lives in the woods, and eats a bunch of flapjacks? I want to play for Paul Bunyan, a big ass Paul Bunyan made out of paper mache and wood, and that's what they do.
Hell yeah, brother.
I just don't. It makes no
right.
sense to me. And the other thing is the what's the other game this week? It's Iowa, I think, and like, hold on,
the Cyhawk.
No, it's like there's the Floyd of Rosendale.
The Floyd.
You know what that is?
I'm trying to guess what that is.
Yeah, that's what we should do here. I'm gonna tell you what trophy game is going on. You tell me what you think. Or we can do.
I gotta look at some of the games. The Floyd of Rosendale, is that Boston College Notre Dame?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. You are actually pretty close. I mean, you're not at all.
Northwestern Purdue.
I don't think that there's a Boston College Notre Dame trophy. I think it's just Catholic guilt, right?
Sure.
It is. Is it? No, is it Northwestern Purdue?
That was a guess.
No. It is. You're closer because it definitely is in the. What do you call it? In the Big Ten, it's a massive fat fucking pig. It's just a big old pig, and it's Iowa and Minnesota.
Oh, God.
Iowa and Minnesota should be just like a I don't know, like a wounded warrior, like trying to throw with his opposite hand. Like it is going to be. It's just be a punter. It's just be a punter in the snow.
Does Minnesota is an outdoor stadium, right?
Yeah.
How much would you have to be paid to go to a late November Iowa Minnesota game in Minnesota?
I love this sport, Tyler, and I love prime numbers under the number of 10.
So that's what you'd have to pay. Someone you could pay you $9 and you'd go.
$9. I wouldn't go to this game. This game sucks. Like it's not gonna be a fun game. Like Iowa's awful. I still can't get over that's actual stat that somebody broke down with actual like data points. They're like, actually, statistically speaking, Iowa would have fared better in that game if they put it on first down every time. Like, what? Like, I don't.
That's not good.
Why you don't say, brother? Yeah. So they're playing for that this weekend. Iowa, Minnesota, Floyd of Rosendale. In 1934, the Hawkeyes and Gophers the game was filled with controversy over treatment of Iowa star halfback Ozzie Simmons. It was a racial thing. Following year, Bernie Bierman, that was the coach for, what do you call it? For Minnesota?
The New York Crackerjacks.
So Bernie Bierman, hey boys. The Gophers were 5-0 and the Hawkeyes were 4-0-1. And they met and they asked for some protection from police. I don't see where anything it says about this damn trophy. This is taking forever. Anyway, they started playing for a pig.
Like a live pig?
They obtained an award-winning prize. So listen, it's not a live pig. They slaughter it right afterwards, like in front of everybody. Kids hate this game, dude.
Usually the Iowa kids love the kids, with the wave.
Yeah. They obtained an award-winning prize pig, which he donated in the owner of Rosedale Farms. It was dubbed Floyd after the Minnesota Governor Olson. The pig was the brother of Blue Boy from Will Rogers' movie State Fair. None of this is adding up.
This is the worst trophy that's ever existed.
A few days later, Governor Herring called Floyd of Rosedale and personally walked him into the Governor Olson's carpeted office. Oh, apparently they filed this is actually kind of interesting. They ended up filing a criminal warrant after the governor's arrest after he did that because he ruined the carpet. Anyway, love that rivalry, dude. That's what college football is all about: is pigs and pettiness. So,
Jesus.
yeah, there's a couple more this weekend. Wisconsin's playing Nebraska, which is the Heartland Trophy, which of course it is. Why are we doing this? I don't understand why we're doing this.
Too many trophies.
There's too many trophies.
I've been saying that about this generation.
You know, like imagine being like I don't want to. Just imagine being a kid that grew up in like a more urban area in this day and age, and doesn't get like and trying to explain to him, listen, this one matters, dude, because we're playing for the old brass spittoon. And he's like, Coach, I don't know what brass is, and I don't know what a spittoon is. A spittoon. They are playing for, and also, by the way, almost every single one of these, if they don't have something to do with fucking Paul Bunyan, it's just like housewares. It's just old rickety fucking housewares, and that's it. Like it's like if you were leaving the house to go to a fucking like Secret Santa or like Yankee Christmas swap, and you're like, shit, we didn't get anything. Just grab that bowl. We don't ever use it anyway. It's fine. It looks somewhat nice. I got it from Hobby Lobby, and that's become the trophy of every single one of these games.
Ding.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. It's been a good rivalry. Also, we'll spit out these last two facts for you before we go. You know that Oklahoma's beaten Oklahoma State 90 times in that rivalry?
How many times have they played?
Like 109.
Jesus.
It's pretty bad.
That game's coming to this is like one of the last times they're going to play that game.
Why?
They said they're dropping it when Oklahoma goes to the SEC.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
It sucks. Bedlam, man. That game is always take the over in Bedlam. Always.
You also know that Bedlam has nothing to do with the football game. The rivalry was actually named after the wrestling.
An old wooden ship.
Which means a whale's vagina. Penn State and Rutgers are playing for a right to a shot of penicillin to get rid of chlamydia. And outside of that might be about it.
And a box of cannolis.
like I would love nothing more than you show up for like the trophy games, like a trophy weekend, baby. And you have like the Paul Bunyan thing and that fucking fat ass pig in the Minnesota Iowa game. And then you just see some dude dressed in like a fucking Fila, like swoosh pants and jacket. He's like, got you a fucking dozen cannolis, and my sister's here. Okay.
I got a pie in the oven.
Just like the entire like it was like bowl weeks. Like, yeah, every single player got a 1998 Lincoln. It's awesome, dude. Love it. It's cloth seats. They got a great golden hood ornament.
Everyone gets a gold chain.
Everyone gets a gold chain, and they get the big room at their mom's house that they still live at because they're family, like for sure. Yeah, I don't know, man. Some of these are really bad, but we already talked about most of it. I don't understand. Like, you know what? The worst one is Bama Auburn. They play for something called the FD Coy Sportsmanship Trophy. You imagine having a sportsmanship trophy in a game where recently someone put poison on a bunch of trees to ruin like this like most favorite tradition that they had at that school.
Brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Academy Outdoors.
See, have Memphis and Ole Miss play inside of that giant pyramid, Cabela's or whatever it is, off the highway. Last but not least, this is my favorite trophy game story of all time. That is, I'm pretty sure the Little Brown Jug. I think it's that one, or it might be what's the one that's like? Oh, the old Oaken Bucket. The old Oaken Bucket between Indiana and Purdue.
Oh, God.
And now, if you think that you've had a tough life, imagine the fact that there are people at Gitmo that have been subjected to watching this game, I think, for actual torture. They've been playing this rivalry for 123 years.
One of the oldest in the books. This is one of these that you tell your grandkids about.
This is like fucking daylight savings time, and there's no reason that it's still happening in this day and age. Is what this is. So this is my favorite thing. They started playing for this in 1925, and I think you remember that year for sure because that was the year that somebody wrote a poem about the old oaken bucket, and they started
That's
playing.
when old Boo Corrigan was out there.
So they had already played it every year since 1891, and it's an in-state rivalry, and you know they hated each other.
Of course.
So in 1925, they decided they were going to put a trophy as a part of this game, and it was an old oaken bucket.
Makes
so
sense.
Again, just housewares that you found in like an abandoned well. The game ended in a 0-0 tie because even the fucking bucket did not want to go home with either one of these programs.
Apt. 0-0?
0.
Indiana, Purdue?
0. That is also, by the way, the second time in a decade that it happened in this rivalry where they had a 0-0 tie. That's all for me,
some
folks.
good defenses back then in 25.
I'm looking at it right now. There's like a bunch of ties in a row, like 11-11. There's a 10-4 game. It's fantastic.
10-4. All right, man. Well, we've been at it for an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's our job.
Should we send this thing to Dan?
No, we should send it to 10:01, see what he says.
Not ideal.
No, flip out.
He's got to get to the gym in the morning.
I'll do something with those questions we had. I threw out the idea. We've tried to do this a couple times this year. No one has responded that much. I was like, we need 3 or 4 questions. We had 52 responses.
I'm looking at that now.
We should probably just go ahead and throw out an answer real quick because we could still get this video over to Dan.
All right, let's go through some of them.
Yeah.
If you added up all the teeth in Auburn, does it equal one full set? That's a question.
That's my favorite team you're talking about, dude.
What do you expect the spread to be for the SEC championship game?
It's already set at 16.5.
David. Why are we not talking about the greatest team in Alabama, a.k.a. South Alabama Jags, or the best team in Florida, the University of West Florida Argos?
So what happened?
Yeah, that's a good answer there. Did you know about the new rule where targeting and a fumble can't be reviewed at the same time?
What?
We don't follow rules, man. Willie says, is the talent spread out more across the country because of the COVID year and kids staying longer, meaning coaches can't bring in a lot of new players because of the roster spots?
I don't know. These are all like good questions. I feel like I was not prepared for this.
I feel like
I don't think that's like as big of a factor.
I feel like with some teams, if you have like a bunch of 6-year guys, like it can make sense. You had a lot of experience on the team that have been there they're literally grown men, 23 years old. But I also think that NIL potentially plays a role in like some teams getting better players than maybe they could have.
Yeah.
Like instead of a guy going to be the 4th receiver in Bama's class, maybe Kentucky will pay them a lot of money to be the number 1 on their team, you know? And so maybe it spreads the talent a little better that way, potentially.
Any of these fun questions?
Ross says, give Bryce Young to any other offense in the conference. Where does he excel the most?
Georgia? I don't know. I couldn't imagine him on Georgia's offense because he doesn't like everything we know about Bryce Young now at this point, like his whole career just seems like him running for his fucking life and darting in and out of like the pocket. And like, I don't think Georgia would have an issue with protecting him. I don't know. Where would he have the most? Was that?
What about LSU? What about Ole Miss?
Yeah, I can see Ole Miss. You know, that 2020 Florida team would have been fun with him, with how accurate he is and everything like that. What we saw with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Trask. Yeah, Ole Miss is different, but like Ole Miss, actually that could be a lot of fun. But you would not have that running game though,
right?
So that's a good question.
I don't know.
What do we debate? It's South Carolina. I think it's like he looks the same or worse, probably a lot worse.
Will someone leave? Kevin says, will someone leave a Christmas tree on the curb at Jimbo's house? Bro. Fair. If the 12-team playoff was happening today, who should the 12 be? That's a lot of teams. Does culture fit really matter for a newly hired head coach?
Yes. It absolutely does. You just saw that
with Mickey, because he's probably trying to talk about...
Oh, my God. I thought he's talking about the Brian Kelly thing. Hey, listen, most of the people in Baton Rouge were the ones that were voicing that opinion too, by the way, about Brian Kelly not being a good fit. You know what we should do is we
He's-
should next time we should stream a game. We should stream like something for rivalry weekend, and we should also live stream Dan tweeting at like at LSU game, like simultaneously, and then just watch like.
Oh, the SEC championship game.
Yes.
Yep. I think we need. He's probably gonna have to work that game if I had to guess, and so will you probably.
No, they're not gonna send us that. They're not doing anything like that.
But Dan probably will have to work it for his.
Yeah,
other
Dan has a
job.
real job. So I mean, like, his company probably will send him there for that. But
I was gonna say it would be great to live stream watching that game with him.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty bad during my games. I could see him being worse than me though. I mean, I vomited during the LSU game, but hey, look, it was for good reason. We ended up being a good team.
We love Dan, first off. We'll say that. But I don't know if there's a
Of
person
course.
that is. I will never get past the tweet he had against the Tennessee game where he said that Brian Kelly and the team were embarrassing the entire state.
I mean, things were getting emotional.
He like also, and this is what I love about Dan too, is that he's always like a great pick me up. He's a great dude to watch sports with, by the way. Like he's like super knowledgeable and likes like a bunch of them, but like the energy it takes to be that into a baseball game.
Oh yeah, he loves the Astros, man.
Yeah,
I think he might love the Astros more than any other team.
He didn't even watch the end of the LSU Bama game.
There you go. There you have it.
Anyway, yeah, that's I don't have much more. We had a bunch from like Twitter and stuff like that too, but I do want to give like we do it every week. But another shout out to the listeners, man. It's been so much fun getting to interact and meet with some of y'all. There's a chance we go to the Iron Bowl. There's a chance we might still go to the Egg Bowl. We're doing something for the SEC championship. We'll do something.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to.
And then last but not least, if you guys have not done so already, go on to get some fucking Texas Sweet popcorn for one, and have yourself a great weekend. But also check out our friends at Underdog Sports, Underdog Betting. You talked about this the other day. So we just started partnering with them last week. It couldn't be easier. Like the whole setup is super simple. It's like you just put money in and they double it right away. You put in the promo code SOUTH and they will double your initial deposit up to $100. Just like right off the bat. But the whole thing is just prop bets and it's very, very simple and laid out for you. And just over and unders. Like, would this player have over or under how many misholding calls that there will be on Will Anderson? And you're like 3.5. Over. But like they have for all the SEC games. It's also legal in plenty of other states, unlike some of the sports betting in around the SEC. So y'all go check them out. And there you go.
Yeah, and also don't forget to go to TexasPete.com, enter promo code Uncensored for 20% off anything. I've been enjoying the hotter sauce, which has been very good.
Yeah.
Also, Sweet Flame barbecue sauce.
Yes.
Also a very good one as well. Chris mentioned the hot popcorn. Fantastic.
So good.
So go to TexasPete.com. Don't forget the dust.
Texas Dust.
TexasPete.com. Promo code Uncensored. For Chris, I'm Tyler. Thanks for tuning in.